Hello, my name is Pauline Hawkins. I'm the professional writing tutor at Great Bay Community College in the CAP Center. And today I'd like to talk to you about time management, especially where it comes to writing research essays. So there are a couple of things that you need to remember before you even get started. First, make sure that you have a calendar or a to-do list, spreadsheet, whatever works for you, to keep this essay as well as other assignments organized according to due date. Know what the essay requirements are. If it is not clear to you what style to use, like MLA, APA, Chicago, make sure you ask. It becomes a very critical element in your grade if you don't do the appropriate style. Is it persuasive, argumentative, informative, expository, compare contrast? Whatever the purpose is, make sure you understand what kind of essay you have to write. Make sure you know how many pages or words are required. Also, are there other assignments that go along with this essay? Like, do you have due dates for a thesis, an outline, an annotated bibliography, rough draft? Make sure you include all of those on the calendar. And even if you don't have assignments, I highly recommend that you kind of follow the schedule I'm about to give you, depending on how long you have from assignment to final paper. It simplifies the process of writing. Give yourself the proper time to get everything done correctly. You also need to know the research criteria. How many sources do you need? Do those sources have to be scholarly or peer reviewed? Make sure you know the difference between those. Ask your professor if you can use Google for a few of the sources. Once you know all of the criteria, requirements for the essay, things are a little bit easier. When you start plotting things on your calendar, make sure that you include the day that it was assigned, when the thesis is due. Again, if it's not an actual assignment, create a timeline for yourself. When the outline is due, again, if you don't have an outline due, still create an outline so you can organize your thoughts and the material that's going to be inside of the essay. An annotated bibliography is crucial, whether it's an assignment or not. It really helps you to organize all of your sources. A rough draft, you should have a rough draft done a week before your assignment is due so that you have time to distance yourself from it, and then you can do some really great editing and revision of your essay. And then finally, when the essay is due. So the day that the essay is assigned, make sure you brainstorm topics right away. If, whatever it is, if it's a persuasive paper, then start picking, ideas, the things that you would like to persuade other people on. And have at least a list of 5 to 10 that you can pick one from, because the first idea might not be the best idea. So just keep on brainstorming ideas until you come up with one you say, oh yeah, this is something I'd really like to write about. And then after you've picked one, now depending on how much time you have, I've kind of just split it up so that each day of this month, this fictitious month that we're creating here, has something that you can do. And everything that you're going to do is going to be about an hour-long activity. So you might consider the days that you're in class, days that you're already spending towards your essay, so you don't want to do work on that day. But I highly recommend that you try to do something every day. And so once you've picked a topic, if you're really excited about it and you want to do some research right away, then do the KWL chart on the day that it's assigned. And what is KWL journaling? Well, the K stands for what do you know? So do a mind dump of what you know about your topic. The W is what do you want to know? So write down all the questions you want answers to. Why did you pick this topic? Why is it important to you? What do you want to know? What kind of presentation do you want to give to your readers about your topic? The L, you have to do that after you've done a little research. And what I always recommend is that you learn something about your topic through Credo Reference. And that's one of the databases that we have at Great Bay. You use the Credo reference, you do the research, the search for your topic, and you start reading information about that topic. This will help you narrow down your topic or show what direction you want to go in for your thesis and research. And don't forget to write down sources and links. It'll be very crucial that you add those to your works cited. So what comes after that? You make an appointment with the librarian for help with sources. And if you remember to do it, you might actually want to do it the day that it's assigned, because the librarians get very busy around the research point of the semester. So the quicker you make an appointment, the better it'll be for you. And usually what happens is the librarian will do a 30-minute session with you and find 10 sources on your topic. So you can't really meet with the librarian until you know what your topic's going to be and the direction you want to go in. So that's why I've put it where I have in the calendar. But if you get everything done sooner, you can make an appointment sooner as well. So make sure you do that. It's so important, and it really helps you find the right sources with the right terminology for your topic. Next, you want to start writing your thesis. And I call it a working thesis because it'll probably change. The more research you do, the more you start reading the articles and contrary opinions or whatever is happening, your thesis will change. But it's good to at least have something, a starting point. And then, of course, if you have to turn it in, you turn it in, and your professor will tell you whether it's a good one or not, and if you have to go back to the drawing board. But I can tell you this: if you've done all the work thus far in this order, you're probably going to have a pretty good working thesis. And then you start looking through the library databases. So maybe you haven't met with the librarian yet. If you have, excellent. But at this point, if you haven't, you still can start looking through the databases. You know, there's EBSCO and ProQuest, and there's some videos that you can look that are in the library. There are point and counterpoint type of articles that you can read, especially if you're doing a persuasive or an argumentative essay. Those are crucial for you to read so you can see how each side presents the topic. So, start skimming on your own so you have a good familiarity with it. And I should note at this point too, that if at any point so far in this writing process, you're just at a loss, you have no idea how to even brainstorm or which one to pick or where Credo reference is or how to make an appointment with a librarian, that's what CAPS is for. We have so many wonderful writing tutors that can help you with any part of the writing process. So just stop in or go on through the website to make an appointment with a tutor, or look for some drop-in times to just drop in and ask a few questions and get organized. So in the early stages, there's no reason for you to ever put anything off. We have wonderful people who are just waiting for you to come and ask for help. So make sure you do that. Once you start looking through the databases and you know what your topic is going to be, the direction you want to go in, you can start creating a rough outline of points you want to make in the essay. Again, if you don't know how to do an outline, that is another great thing that you can work with the tutor on. I also have some sources in the Great Bay Tutoring Online course. If you haven't accepted that course yet, make sure you do, and then you can look through what an outline could look like and start that process. Hopefully, the next thing that you do is you meet with the librarian to get your sources. If you make the appointment early enough, you will have plenty of time to read those sources. And that's what the goal is. You don't want to write a thesis or an outline without reading some of the sources and find out what's out there. So make sure that you take care of that as soon as possible. And as you're reading those sources, make sure you're highlighting, taking notes, you're finalizing your outline. Now, depending on your comfort, you might want to print out all the sources that you've received so that you can write right on it, or you can highlight and take notes on the document itself if you're familiar with how PDF highlighting and note-taking works. Whatever works for you, but that's going to help you finalize your outline, where you're going to use your sources. And it might even tell you, oh, you know what, I need to find some more sources to get this other side of the argument or this other point that I want to make. So it's crucial that you have read, highlighted, and taken notes on all of your sources so that you can do your outline properly. Next, you want to start creating your annotated bibliography. And you might be wondering, what is an annotated bibliography? Well, here's an example. We have an APA formatted annotated bibliography sample here on the side. And as you can see that it's just the source in the proper style and a summary of what the source is. Now that is the simplest kind of annotated bibliography you can do. And why do you want to do it? It keeps your sources organized and in the style assigned. It helps you understand the articles through writing summaries and showing your professor that you understand them as well, especially if it's an assignment. It shows you if you need to do more research, find other sources. It helps you determine which sources will provide the best material for direct quotes, paraphrases, or a combination of the two, or a summary. And here's another example here with some other details that you could include in a bibliography. Obviously, the things here on the side are just kind of explaining to you what you could include underneath the citation here. So once again, the citation is the same format as it would be in the reference list or the works cited or bibliography, whatever kind of style you're doing. You can describe a short summary of the theory, research findings, or argument in that article. You can do a short statement of the author's viewpoint, especially if you're writing an argumentative paper and you're having sources from both sides of the argument. You want to summarize their viewpoint and how it's going to be beneficial in the next section, how it's going to be beneficial to your paper. You know, it's the usefulness limitation of that article. It's very helpful if you do that. And then a final comment on the work, taking into account how this work will fit into your research on a topic. Don't skimp on this step. Even if it's not a required assignment, you really should be doing this with all of your sources so that you know what you have. I've had way too many students come to me asking for help on the research paper, and they haven't even read their sources yet or understand what's inside of there or how they're going to use it. Remember, this is part of your learning. This is part of your education. You have to be able to read these sources, take these notes, summarize, know how you're going to use it in your paper. Otherwise, there's not much anybody can do for you. But if you are at this step and you're a little stuck, please come ask for help. We can definitely help you if you have questions on how to do an annotated bibliography or how to maybe even summarize what's going on in there. There are lots of things that we can do to help. Don't hesitate to work with a CAPS tutor if you are stuck. So since the annotated bibliography is a pretty lengthy part of your research, you're going to want to dedicate just about a week on it. So you just keep on working on your annotated bibliography until you get it done. Once you've done your annotated bibliography, you'll have a very clear picture of what you have left to do. Now is the time you can start writing your essay. And remember that as soon as you start writing your essay, it is considered a rough draft, right? Because you're going to still that's just part of the writing process. You're going to still continue to write and revise and edit. But until you get your essay to the point where it is finished, and it is a finished rough draft, you really don't know what you have and what else you have to do. And then if you're lucky enough to have a professor asking for a rough draft so they can give you feedback, you should turn that in. And it should be at a point where you think, okay, I'm done. You shouldn't ever turn in something that's you've just thrown in quotes or, just ideas and it's all over the place. Because if you turn in a rough draft that would get an F for a final grade, then you'll be lucky if you get a D or a C on that final essay. But if you turn in a rough draft that could get a C or a B in that state, then you can be shooting for an A or a B. So, make sure you turn in your best work for that rough draft. And then after you've turned it in, maybe during class, you will hear some feedback from students, from your professor. Maybe there'll be some other additional things that you learn in class that you think, oh, maybe I should add that to my paper, or I have a better idea now that I've finished it. I have some distance. I can start revising and editing. So make sure you do that as soon as you can. And then if you get the feedback, even better, continue to revise and edit and, finalize it. And notice that All of the work that you have done has been a whole month. It is not done on this day, the day before the essay is due. Just because you stay up until 2 in the morning does not mean you worked hard on your essay, right? Working hard on your essay is working on it all month long. So make sure that you put that time in to get your essay done in the best shape it possibly can be in. So just some final thoughts. Remember, you can work with a writing tutor at any point in the writing process. You can also submit your essay to the Great Bay Tutoring online for feedback. Just make sure you schedule those appointments with due dates in mind. Scheduling time with a librarian for research and citation assistance are important steps. Take advantage of the help that is available to you. Some professors may not ask you to turn in each step in the process, but I highly recommend you do it anyway. And remember, you can always come in to get help with any of those steps, even if it's not asked of you or if it's not an assignment. Each part of the process should take you about an hour, some more, some less. You can also work for 2 to 3 hours, 1 or 2 days a week if that works better for you. And the final reminder is that what I created in this video is based on a month schedule, and it's very hypothetical. So you might have a professor that gives you an assignment and wants the essay due in 3 weeks or an essay due in 6 weeks. So you just have to adjust your calendar accordingly. But remember that writing is a process, and in order to turn in your best work, you have to manage your time properly for that process. And I highly recommend that you try to do it in hour to 2-hour chunks. Remember, if you have any questions, please come to CAPS and we can definitely help you. Good luck and thanks for watching.